Hi, I am Mrs. Hovland, and I am a teacher at Austin High School. I am here today to share with you a little bit about our topic for the week, which is resiliency. Now, I would love to be with you in person. However, I'm currently teaching summer school at Austin High School. So I'm working with our ninth through 12th graders who are working to make up some of the classes that they maybe struggled a little bit in. And it's kind of interesting that we're talking about the topic of resiliency because right now I'm watching these high schoolers go through some of the things that are challenging or hard for them, which is exactly what we're talking about today. So I have been teaching in Austin for about 17 years. Some of you might recognize my last name because if you are a first through third grader at Southgate, Mr. Hovland might be your music teacher. And I also have some kids in the schools too. So, like I said, we're going to talk about resiliency, which I think you've been talking about with your classes this week. So, resiliency, you see on the screen here, is just really that ability to adapt when you're facing challenges or hardships. So, when life is kind of hard, um, maybe math class is hard for you, and it's really hard to be able to figure out how to do some of those problems. That can be a point in time when you're resilient. You work through them, you keep trying and keep working hard at it. Hardships, that could be things in your life that might be hard right now. Some of you might be able to think of some of those things. Maybe it could be a hardship, like maybe a pet of yours um, got old and is no longer there. That would be a hardship. Or maybe you moved and it was kind of hard to move. So there's lots of different things that can cause us to have challenges or hardships and things in life that maybe just aren't our favorite. But when we're resilient and we push through those, that is something that helps us to grow and helps with that value. So, one of our core values. So, you see on the screen some things that can help you with resiliency are asking for help when you need it. So, if you are struggling, let's say math is hard. Math was hard for me when I was younger. Math is still kind of hard for me. I would always ask my teacher. I would ask for help all the time because I knew if I asked, I would get stronger and I would grow in that skill. I also would ask my friends and even my siblings. So that was helpful to me. The next one is recognizing your strengths. That is super important too. So thinking about what you're really good at, what kinds of things can you bring to your family and your friends and the school that are your strengths? So things you're good at. I really like to work with kids. That's one of my strengths. So being a teacher helps me to kind of highlight that strength. So think about what you are really good at. What are you strong at? Think about your families and your friends. Seeing lessons in struggles. So if something's really hard, instead of just saying, well, this is hard, I don't want to do it. Well, what are you learning from it as you go? So let's say I was learning how to ride a bike. Maybe you can right now see raise your hand. I know I'm not there to see it, but raise your hand if you know how to ride a bike. And if your teacher looks around the room right now and sees that and your classmates see that, well, maybe not everybody knows how. So, what are some of the things that are hard about learning to ride a bike? When I first learned to ride a bike, it was really hard. I was not sure, I didn't want to fall. And I was kind of scared of that. And I remember learning in the grass. And I always told my parents, don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. But some of the lessons in that were that I had to trust that it was going to be okay. And then if I fell, I could get up and try again. So, thinking about when something's hard, what lessons can you learn? Believing things can improve. So, sometimes when life is really hard, thinking about, like, well, I think this can get better. So, what can I do maybe to help with that? And then the last one is setting goals. So, some of you might set goals already. Some of you might see people around you who set goals. And when you can set those goals and you kind of overcome the difficult things, that usually makes us feel really good. When I was in a math class and it was really hard, and I was like, I want to get a passing grade in this class. I set that goal and I worked towards it. And when I was done, it felt so good to be able to do that. So, those are some things that you can think of with resiliency. Next, we're going to look at this poster here that you see up in front of you, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So these are ways that you can build resiliency. So looking at and seeing, do I have resilient adults around me? That's important. So look at your teachers, look at those role models you have, look at your parents or your guardians, your family, friends. What did they do when maybe things are tough? The second one, I'm good at some things and I need to work on others. So, like, I am stronger in reading, but my math, I need to work at more. So, I should be able to look at that and be like, wow, I feel really great about how I'm doing in my reading, but my math, I'm going to keep trying it. Number three is I'm hopeful and positive even when it's tough. So, trying to find, like, okay, this is hard, but what's good about it? Sometimes the good might be once the math test is over, it's over with. Um, but thinking about what helps you to be positive. Number four, I can cope with change. So if change happens, how do I deal with it? When I was younger, my family moved and I wasn't super excited about moving, but I chose to try and look at the good things about it. And that really helped me with that change of moving. Number five, I can practice to achieve my goal. So, what do I need to do to make sure that I meet that goal? Maybe my goal is to get better at soccer. And I know that I'm going to go out and I am going to practice my ball skills and kicking the ball around with my sibling for half an hour each day. Because if I don't practice, I'm probably not going to get better at it. Number six, have people who help me shine. So think about the people around you that help you, your family, your friends. Um, when I sometimes do new things, a lot of times the people I work with right now are those people for me. Number seven, I can learn from my mistakes and solve problems. So if I am, maybe something doesn't go well, maybe I don't pass my math test, but I can learn from that. I better study more next time. I better ask some questions. Maybe I should take my time and show my work. That can help me to solve that problem for the future. And then number eight, I am me and that's enough. So remembering that we all have really cool things about us that help us to be who we are. And there might be areas that we struggle a little bit, but how we keep ourselves resilient and pushing through those is going to be what's important because I'm never going to be the best in the world at math, but that's okay because there are other things that I'm stronger in. But I'm also going to continue to work at progress and being better in math when I can. So here are some examples that I'll show you from my life so you can understand like how does this connect to the world. So part of what we're doing with our Packer profile and our core values is looking at how do people use these skills. So we talked to you about these words, but what does that mean? So here are a couple things that I have on the screen that show you some different things in my life. So I have resilient adults around me. That top middle picture of someone working at the computer, I couldn't find a picture of me working with any of my colleagues or the teachers and people that I work with, but this picture shows these people are working together. The adults that are around me help me to push myself and reach those goals. They help me to push through things when they're hard. I changed my job about a year ago, and that was a really hard change. But I kept pushing through it, and I looked at what I was good at, used those strengths, and it helped me to grow in what I was doing and help the people around me. I'm good at some things and I need to work on others. Well, you see over where it says the Build a Bear workshop, that is my group of students that we took to the Mall of America for our Mauer County CEO program. And that is a program I took over. And it's an area that I feel really strong. We do a lot of cool things. The students learn lots of stuff, and I can collaborate with people in our community. So it's been an area that makes me feel really strong and really good about the work we've done. I keep setting goals and trying to make that better. But that's where I use resiliency in my job. Like I push through that, I'm strong in it, but I continue to try and make it even better. So I set goals for the program, and I work with students to set goals. And even when there are tough times, because there's tough times in learning, I try and stay as positive as I can because it helps us as a group to move forward through some of the struggles. Um, that would also be I can cope with change. And that other picture up in the corner with some more students is me working with some ninth graders last year on their Packer profile. I changed my job and am now work with a Packer profile throughout a big part of my day. And it's been great to get to work with new students and work on looking at their future and what they want to become. Um, but change isn't easy. So that was an area that I had to really focus on and keep trying to grow. Um, Change is up there. You see that word change. There's been lots of changes for me in my career as a teacher in the classroom, changing to doing the CEO program and working now with the Packer profile. So there's been a lot of change, but I've been able to be resilient through that. And it's allowed me to continue to grow as a teacher. Practicing at things. You see the piano in there. I put that one in there because it's kind of an example from when I was younger that I had to practice at things. But that practice helps me to be just better at what I'm doing. So I continue practicing even now. So I'm going to go out of this video for a minute and we're going to listen to a story here. So hang with me while I change screens. Hopefully, I can find the screen I want. See, this is where you're seeing examples of resiliency for the teacher going through and finding that video that they needed. Oh, here we go. Okay. Thanks for waiting. So, this is a story called The Hugging Tree, and I'm going to let you listen to it. And I'm going to stop every once in a while and ask you to talk a little bit in your class. So, here we go. So, stop right now, and maybe your teacher can talk with you about this question. Why is it strange that the tree was there? What would be the challenges for that tree to grow? And what do you think made it so that it did grow? And teachers, you can pause the video here to discuss that, and then you can restart. Okay, we're going to pause again. And I want you to think now and talk as a class now about who that tree is surrounded by or what that tree is surrounded by. So it's kind of connecting to when we talk about who's there that's resilient with you and who helps to help you achieve your goals and push through. What did the tree have surrounding them that helped them? I can think of three things that they talked about. So I want you to talk as a class about that, and then you can restart the video. Okay, we're going to stop here again. So think about that tree had all of those things helping it, and then it was able to help the loons. What think about the goal to grow, and their goal, they set that goal like, I'm going to work my hardest to grow here. And then what did the tree provide for those loons? How did it help someone else by being resilient? And then I also want you to talk about now some of the big challenges that are coming for the tree. What is changing and happening that's making it really hard for this tree? And how do you think they can keep growing through this? Once you're done discussing that as a class, you can restart the video. All right, now as a class, I want you to stop and talk about what this boy did and why did he do it. So think about how he helped that tree to be resilient and to use that skill to keep him growing, but also why the boy chose to do that. Why do you think he wanted to help that tree? What did he see? And that can also have your class have some time to talk about how you are resilient and who helps you, like the boy helped the tree. But also, when you see other people struggling through a tough thing, what do you do to try and help? So, talk about those things, and then we're going to come back to the story. All right. So now, if you want to talk for just a minute, so pause as a class and talk about the ending of that story and what you think that means for the tree and the boy about their resiliency together and how that can help you. So I'm going to let you pause the video and talk about that before you come back. So now that you've talked about that and talked a little bit maybe about your own life, I want you to think about some of these things. And these are some examples. And in a few minutes, you're going to do a little activity about resiliency in your life. So think about your life. These are some pictures of kids and families showing some of that resiliency. So think of who's resilient around you. Who are those adults that you've seen maybe have some tough times and get through them, or things that they have to work hard at and push through? You probably could ask your parents or guardians about what things at their job are hard and what they have to really push through. Some of them probably have things every day that they have to be resilient with. Think about what you're good at and what you should keep working at. So, what is your strongest skill at school? And what's one that you're like, oh, I want to get better at it? Might not be your favorite thing, though. Um, how do you stay positive? So, how can you stay positive in what you do every single day? Because that's going to help you to be more resilient. And then, what can you do to practice and achieve and reach those goals? So, what do you need to do to practice to get better? You see here a couple pictures. The first one in that top corner with the little girl with the paintbrush, practice. Some kids are great at art. Some people Maybe look at it, kids, adults, anybody might be like, oh, I'm not very good at art. I was not that great of an artist growing up, I didn't think. I took an art class in high school, and I remember my teacher looking at my picture saying, I think you're supposed to be drawing a bird. And I looked at it and was like, that is a bird. So my art skills maybe weren't my strongest thing, but I kept trying, and I made sure that I was able to pass that class and do well in it, even though I maybe wasn't the strongest as an artist. So even strong artists are going to keep working to improve and keep, if they're painting, for example, they're going to keep practicing at that. The next picture on the top is a group of adults cheering. So who's there supporting you? Who are those people around you? It could be your parents or guardians. It could be your teachers. It could be your neighbors. It could be your siblings. But there's always some people around you. So think of like, who are those people for you that can help you to stay positive when you're struggling, that you can turn to and ask for help, because you've got people in your life who want to help you. Think of your teacher in your summer school room right now. That teacher is there and wants to help you to get better and to grow. You see the one with the pencil where it says mistake and it's being erased. I like this picture because when it's being erased, it's kind of showing you you can learn from your mistakes. You can't fully erase them. See, the word's not fully going away. However, do you really want to fully erase it? Because then maybe you didn't learn. We can learn from it. As a teacher, I have had times where I've made a mistake. I remember one time I had a test and it was the kids came to me and they were like, this question doesn't make sense. And I was like, sure, it makes sense. And they were like, no, it really doesn't. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That was a little bit of a mistake in my question. So I had to rethink that and fix it. Instead of just saying, well, too bad you got it wrong. Nope. Part of my job was to look at that and make improvements. Okay. And then you see down in the other bottom corner is the group of kids kind of cheering. Think about if you're on a team. Well, number one, you practice. If you don't show up to practice, that's probably not going to be helpful to your whole team. Also, you cheer each other on. How do you help the other people around you? Maybe your team is losing. I coached boys basketball for the last 5 years for one of my sons, from their third grade year through their eighth grade year. And there were a lot of times where things were hard. And sometimes we'd be in a game and we would be losing. And the kids would be like, well, there's no way we're going to win. And I would always tell them, with that attitude, probably not. And my biggest thing with them was, you were going to try the whole time. You were going to work hard and have fun. And you were going to do your best. You might not always win, right? Like sometimes we're not going to win. Sometimes we're going to make a mistake. Sometimes we're going to go back and fix things. But trying our best and being resilient through those hard times is what's going to really help us to grow. And that's going to be something that's with you forever in any job you choose. So for me as a teacher and a person working in schools, resiliency, we see it every day in our kids, but we also see it in the adults. So I'm going to go to our last slide here, and it says, curious. I wonder. So people who are resilient, oftentimes I wonder. So I want you're going to get a paper in a few minutes, and it's going to have that statement, I wonder. Then I want you to fill that in. You can either write a sentence. Teachers, you can kind of decide and give them the direction on this, whether it's a sentence, whether it's some sort of picture, or a combination of both. Creative. I could. So like, I could what? And then the last one, ceaseless. That's kind of a big word. That's where it's like, I can, I'm doing this, right? So if I were filling this in for myself, I might be, for example, I might say, I wonder what would happen if I gave students a choice in how they did their project, their career project this fall. I wonder what would happen. Now, that could be tricky for me as a teacher. However, it might change how we approach it. It might change how my students do. So that resiliency and like wondering about what could be better. Creative. I could, let's see here. I could try and get more speakers into my classroom that would tell kids about the real world and jobs that they could have after school. That one is one of my favorites. Right now, that's what I'm doing a lot for my job. And even though that might be some teachers, it might be hard for, and it might be kind of like, oh gosh, how am I going to find a speaker? I know it would be really cool. So it's creative. I could do this. Ceaseless. So like, I can. What can I do? Like I can say like, I can help students to be the best that they can be in their classes. Like I know I can do that. I'm going to keep doing it. So I want you to take some time now, and your teacher is either going to give you a worksheet or put this onto the screen, and you're going to take some time to think about how you're resilient and how you get through those challenges. Thinking about what you're curious about, how you're creative, and how you can be ceaseless. So I know that all of you are doing great things in the areas of resiliency. You're here at summer school working hard every day, which is awesome. Keep it up. I am excited that I could spend a little time with you today. I wish I could have been with you in person, but it has been fun to share a little bit with you. And even though it's a ways away, I can't wait to see you when you come to ninth grade at Austin High School. So thank you so much for welcoming me into your classroom, and I hope you have a great rest of your day at summer school. See you later.